Welcome to this weekend edition of Second City Sports Zoom style.
Zoom style.
For August 21st, 2020, along with my co-host, co-founder, and creator of Second City Sports radio show and podcast, Miss Lakeena McGee. I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on Twitter at SidKid80. That's Twitter and Instagram at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keena McGee on Twitter, at Keena_McGee on the Instagram.
And our top story for this segment is the Cubs and the White Sox will get it off of round one for 2020 from Wrigley Field, taking place this weekend. To help us preview this series, covering the White Sox for the SouthSide, Hitpen, part of the SI now, that's Sports Illustrated Network, is Miss Janice Scurio. Janice, where can they find you on social media?
My Instagram is Scuriosa, spelled Scuriosa. My Twitter handle is the same thing, but with one more I, so Scuriosa. It's just pronounced Scuriosa. That's nothing too special. But,
simple. Yeah, keep it simple and to the point. All right, Sid I think he's having connection problems, so he had to go away for a second. But I'll start with my first question, Janice. White Sox have won 6 in a row, so do you think they can keep it up? I mean, they've had, their offense has been clicking. Lucas Giolito had a good outing yesterday against Detroit. They actually swept Detroit. So, what do you think? Can the White Sox keep this up?
I think so, especially because they're facing John Lester today. And from some stats I've seen, the White Sox mash lefties. So I don't think they're going to have a problem against him tonight. I believe their record against left-handed pitching is now 5-0, just off the top of my head. But specifically, the team slash line against left-handed pitching is 286, 364, 566 with a 280 ISO, which is kind of ridiculous. So I believe we should see some of that offensive production tonight. I know Lester has been pretty good so far this year, but who knows? I have a good feeling about this one.
And keeping theme with that starting pitching, Lucas Giolito had a great performance on Thursday, striking out 13 Detroit Tigers on his way to a personal 2-2 record, and the White Sox sweeping the Tigers up. What are your impressions for the All-Star from a year ago?
I believe he's definitely locked it up. He looked a little shaky in his prior starts. I believe he was quoted in a post-game interview in his last start saying that giving up 4 runs in the first inning was definitely unacceptable. So it was great that he acknowledged it. I could definitely tell from his start yesterday how incredibly locked in he was too. I also believe that James McCann had a very integral role in propelling Giolito to yesterday's victory. You could definitely tell that his pitches were called very carefully. Giolito was in very deep concentration just watching him on the mound. I'm definitely noticing that sequencing is helping a lot with Giolito especially. I know that his changeup is his signature out pitch. From here on out, Giolito just basically needs to keep it up. And I also hope that James McCann remains his catcher for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. So what about Dylan Cease? I mean, he had a shaky start earlier in this sort of sprint. He's actually gotten a little bit better. So what do you think? What do you think is going to be the key for Cease to keep up with his consistency?
I think one of Cease's earlier concerns was definitely command in his last start. We saw a little bit of shakiness there. On paper, his record is actually pretty good, but I believe that his FIP is significantly higher than his ERA. So given that, he still is giving up a lot of hits. He definitely will fall behind in the count quite a bit, but he seems to work himself out of jams is what I see just from recalling those stats off the top of my head. So I definitely believe that Cease has some great potential. Just as long as he keeps winning games for us, that's all I'm concerned about.
Lakeena, my partner, brought up this person's name for the last couple of years. His name is Dane Dunning. Of course, he had his troubles with Tommy John surgery from a couple of years ago. He made his debut on Wednesday, striking out 7. What were your first impressions of his performance?
I was incredibly impressed with Dunning. I listened to a lot of national baseball podcasts, and a lot of them were kind of dismissive of Dunning and kind of focused the attention more so on Casey Mize. Not to say that Mize wasn't impressive, he definitely was, but some things I noticed about Dunning, he definitely lured a lot of swinging strikes. His breaking stuff was absolutely filthy. I was looking at a couple of his pitching charts during the game, and he just had Tigers pitching swinging at stuff way out of the zone, which is just absolutely nuts. So he's been optioned back to Schaumburg. I have a feeling that we'll probably see him again very soon, but overall, beyond that mistake he made, I believe he gave up a 2 or 3 run home run to, I can't remember whom, but that's unimportant. Otherwise, I was just highly impressed with him, and I believe that he'll be back in the rotation very soon.
Well, how big of a pickup was Dallas Keuchel for the White Sox? I mean, that was sort of like a very underrated signing. You know, not only does they shore up that pitching staff, but also leadership. You know, he has a lot of postseason experience too. And of course, we all know that speech he gave right before the Detroit series last week, and you know, that kind of inspired that turnaround. How big of a pickup Keuchel has been for the White Sox?
Oh my goodness. I was already really excited to pick up Keuchel. As soon as Jeff Passan or whomever announced that the White Sox had got him, I couldn't believe my ears. Just like, oh my God, we have this seasoned veteran who has postseason experience and has like gone has definitely done so much in the postseason before, not to mention a Scott Boras client, and the White Sox have him. I couldn't believe my ears. But I believe the value that he brings to the table is for sure apparent in how he's pitched this season. Just kind of glancing at Baseball Reference a few moments ago, he has the highest WAR of any pitcher, which I think is incredibly fantastic. I believe his sinker ball is probably just the best I've seen, probably since, his Cy Young award-winning season. Yeah, I was really, really pleased that we got Keuchel, and yeah, not to mention the leadership that you mentioned, Lakeena, but that kind of fueled the spark, I believe, that kind of pushed the Sox to all these victories now. So.
Who needs Zach Wheeler? We got Keuchel anyway, like you said.
Oh my goodness.
I tend to forget about that. I tend to forget Zach Wheeler quite a bit, but except the times where he just creeps onto my news feed. I'm like, oh yeah, he exists.
Janice Scurio of SouthSide Hitpen, part of the Sports Illustrated crew, is joining us right now on Second City Sports, discussing the White Sox along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sidney Brown. Janice, let's go to the hitters now. Tim Anderson, last year's AL batting champion. After his comeback from injury in last week's series at Detroit, his last 7 games, 4 home runs and 7 RBI. What are your impressions for Mr. Anderson for 2020? Do you think he could be a better player than he was a year ago?
Oh my goodness. I wrote about this in one of my articles not too long ago, and I said that I will never get tired of talking about Tim Anderson. And it's true. I will never get tired of talking about Tim Anderson, just mainly because he's so nonstop. He just brings all this exuberant joy and genuine love for baseball, and his teammates too. Every day, and he's definitely made that apparent. Just kind of sitting in the press box, I can always see him cheering his teammates on and just being just a really positive influence. So I love that part of him. I also believe that he is like just so significantly improved, and so many people like kind of pegged him for regression this season, and that's definitely not the case. He's like way better of a hitter than he was last year. I was even kind of poking around with Fangraphs last night, and I have evidence that he might actually even be a better defender this year than he was last year. I know a lot of people kind of harp on Timmy for his defense, which I don't think is necessarily fair, just mainly because he also attempts to make really impossible, difficult plays. So other than that, I really love that he is a history maker as well. Just seeing all the leadoff home runs that he hit just in this past week definitely shows that he is very much so a valuable part of this team in establishing leads very early, just for a moment, because for a little while the offense had some trouble even getting on base in the first inning too. So it's really nice to see that. Other than that, I can't speak well enough about Tim Anderson. I think he's absolutely wonderful. I always say that if Tim Anderson isn't your favorite player right now, what the heck is wrong with you? But yeah, I enjoy Tim Anderson so very much.
Well, it's hard not to. I mean, he's got the charisma. He's got, he kind of lets his talent, do the talking for him, but isn't afraid to kind of speak up on social issues as well. It's unfortunate that Major League Baseball doesn't have like personalities that they can, promote. I mean, yes, the ratings are up, but I think it's more because of the season and the way it's set up. But do you think that Tim should be a bigger star in the MLB?
Absolutely. And I've gone on many podcasts before in the past, and I've said on record that MLB does a really crap job of marketing its players. Tim Anderson, unfortunately, is no different. And I think especially during the time off, during the pandemic, a lot of players kind of took to marketing themselves, which I thought was really interesting. For example, I just recently became a huge fan of the Cardinals pitcher, Jack Flaherty, just mainly because he was very vocal about social issues, especially after George Floyd's murder. He spoke up a lot about bringing attention to the current situation of police brutality towards the Black community, which I thought was really fantastic. I did not find out about him through MLB, even though I know he was a really fantastic pitcher last year. I believe he had like a 91 ERA in the second half, and he has a really fantastic slider. But I learned all of that stuff after I discovered his Instagram. Like, that shouldn't have been the case. Lucas Giolito too. I believe he does a lot of social justice advocacy too on his social media as well. But again, I heard it directly from him, not through MLB. Whether we see kind of MLB kind of pick up the reins when it comes to marketing their players better, who knows? But until then, it looks like a lot of them are just doing it themselves through social media.
Let's focus in on another personality on the White Sox, and his name is Eloy Jimenez. I'll call him AKA Must-See TV on Twitter. He has 3 home runs and 6 RBIs in his last 7 games. Of course, he hit that big home run in last year's game at Wrigley Field. But as well as I do, Janice, that his problem has been his fielding in left field is less than desirable to watch. So I want to ask you, not about his hitting, but his fielding. And I said this on the show before. If it was up to me, he would never play left field again. He should be a permanent DH. But realistically, how soon will Eloy Jimenez be the permanent DH for this White Sox team? Will it be next year, 2 years down the road? What is your take on it?
Oh my goodness. I know it's like kind of a running joke that I know it's kind of a running joke that in some cases, White Sox defense can be so bad to the point where they just have a lineup full of DHs. I hope it does not come to that. I, as much as anyone else, really hope that Eloy just improves his defense. But, oh man. Just kind of thinking about a lot of the things he's done in the past couple of days to kind of redeem himself. He had that gaff in the net where he just kind of got caught in it, allowing a Christian Yelich inside the park home run. That was simultaneously mega embarrassing, but also it was kind of funny too. You just kind of have to laugh at it. Eloy himself is a funny guy, but when it comes to giving up runs at the team's expense, that's not so funny. Honestly, I just hope he can improve. I'm sure he is working on that. But otherwise, he's had a really solid past couple of games, so he's forgiven for now.
Well, I freak out every time he dives into the stands. I'm not like I'm not amused by that. I freak out every time I see him there, people or no people in this case. So it's crazy. We're about halfway through this sort of mini season there, Janice. And do you think this sort of sprint to the finish, if you will, sort of favors the White Sox?
Yeah, I believe it does. I can't remember where I saw it, but it said something that the White Sox have a 91 or 92% chance of making the postseason, which to me, someone who's been following the team during sub 500 seasons, that's just mind blowing to me. And I know the postseason format itself is just kind of a complete blur and that the door is kind of wide open to begin with. But I believe that's still something. I also believe that a lot of the streaking this team has done, not literal streaking, mind you, win streaking.
Well, I can see a couple of them doing that though.
Yeah, that I definitely see that this team definitely gets hot by momentum. So who knows? Maybe tonight this will be their 6th victory. No, I think it will be their 6th victory. Let's make it so. Let's manifest it into reality. But yeah, I believe I think there's like 37, 38 games left. And at this point, I think it's anyone's division. I believe Cleveland's only ahead by a game and a half or something like that. So yeah, anything can happen, especially with the team that's hot right now.
Janice Scurio of SouthSide Hitpen, part of Sports Illustrated SI Now crew, join us here on Second City Sports Zoom style. Janice, let's go to the center field portion of the White Sox defense, and that's Mr. Luis Robert. If he's not your AL front runner for Rookie of the Year, I don't know who is, but he has 5 home runs and 15 RBI so far this year. Struggling a little bit here and there, but that's what you expect from a rookie. But in the outfield, he's awesome. He covers just about every part of the outfield. Talk to us about your take on Mr. Roberts so far for 2020.
First of all, it's just kind of hilarious to kind of see him stealing catches from Eloy, especially the other night where he just ran over to left field to steal a ball from Eloy, and just the look on Eloy's face, it's just like impeccable comedy. I feel as if they're definitely going to be a great comedic duo for the White Sox in the future. To kind of see him do a lot of kind of questionable things, like the way he dove for that ball the other night. He ended up injuring his wrist. I guess that could kind of be expected from a rookie. But other than that, he's definitely demonstrated that he's just a really fantastic player all around. He can hit the ball. He is just ridiculously fast. He has this elite sprint speed. I believe I looked at his Baseball Savant page a few times, and everything was like in the red, most specifically the sprint speed section, and that he's like first in his position, first in his age range, first in everything. So I think that's just fantastic that we have someone with this elite speed finally. What else? He can steal bases. He just makes really fantastic plays, stealing balls from Liori, stealing balls from Eloy. It's just kind of refreshing to see that we have a player of this caliber. And yeah, if he doesn't win Rookie of the Year, then I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, it would be criminal if he doesn't at least get some consideration for Rookie of the Year. He's been fantastic. I want to talk about Ricky Renteria for a second there, Janice. And do you think he's the answer as manager long term?
Uh, that's a great question. I always try to avoid the Renteria discourse as much as I can, just mainly because I feel as if a lot of people kind of rip on him a little too much. Probably the most qualms I might have with him is due to his bullpen management, but I think most fans will tend to kind of get on managers for bullpen management in general. Whether he's the manager long term or not, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that for you. All I know is that he has a good rapport with his players. He seems to be well respected in the clubhouse. I think this year, for the most part, he's been pretty effective. But as for the long-term part, who knows?
Getting back to the players on the field, Janice, I want to focus in on Jose Abreu. Many people weren't sure if he was going to be re-signed with the club. Of course, the White Sox manager brought him back. Me, personally, I was happy that he was brought back. I can't believe that he's only in his mid-30s already. He's been in the league for 6 or 7 years, but it seems like to me that he just keeps getting better with time. Do you think that he's going to stay on this pace for the rest of the year, or do you think he's going to fall off at some point?
Yeah, that was a really great point of discussion over the off season. That a lot of people were not very happy with the extension. I was indifferent towards it, just mainly because he's a lifelong White Sox, and I honestly can't see him in any other uniform, to be honest. But more of the reasoning behind that is because he's been just earmarked for regression. And so as a result, everyone was saying, why would we give an extended contract to a regressing player? But this year, I don't think any of that regression stuff has actually come to light. I believe his defense in particular is improved. Just looking at some stats yesterday, I believe his defensive run save stat is at like 3, compared to last year where it was at like -8. So just looking at that stat alone, and I know this season has been a relatively small sample size, just looking at that stat alone, he's having the best defensive year of his career, which I think is really fantastic. But yeah, he's also bringing the bat. He had a really fantastic game yesterday as well. I hope he stays hot. I hope he proves the haters wrong. I guess including myself. I have to admit that I was one of the people, I will put that out there, that definitely thought he was going to regress. But I can tell you right now, I've never been more happy to be wrong.
Wait, exactly. I think me too, Janice, me too. Can you talk about Adam Engel for a second? I mean, he's been sort of like the unsung heroes for this White Sox team. He's sort of like one of those guys that doesn't get as much attention as he should. So what do you think about Engel and some of the big hits he's made?
Yeah, I don't think we've seen enough of him, to be honest. I know he's been getting some at-bats and some starts due to a lot of the injuries that has plagued the team. He's definitely come up huge in many situations, but with all of these other like superstars just kind of hogging the spotlight, it's kind of easy for Engel to fall on the back burner. Yeah, I would like to see him play more in certain situations, especially when the situation allows. Yeah, I would like to see more of him, especially in the next upcoming games, if needed.
Before we get your prediction on the series, Janice, I want to ask you about Yohan McConnell. He has 5 home runs and I believe 15 RBI so far this season. He's only batting .266, but I'm really impressed by his defense, and he really showed himself last year during his first year at the hot corner. He did very well. It seems like he carried over to this year. Do you see him participating, even though there's no All-Star game this year? Do you see him as a future All-Star down the road?
Oh my goodness, yes. I also see him as a future MVP as well. Just from what I've seen from him in the past couple of games, just offensively, the fact that he was part of that 4 home run barrage the other day, that was absolutely fantastic. And as for his defense, yeah, I have a feeling it has also improved too, kind of similar to what I talked about with Abreu a little while ago. I should probably look at his numbers in a little bit to see if I could back that up. But yeah, I feel as if he's definitely improved defensively. Offensively, I feel he's also just had a really huge contribution, a really huge improvement as well. Yeah, I definitely feel as if he definitely should make an all-star team in the future. And yeah, I also see an MVP award in his future too. But I don't know, with so many players competing for MVP, I think like Tim Anderson especially is making a huge case for this season. I also think that Luis Robert might also be like a future MVP as well. Yeah, it's a good problem to have. It's a really good problem to have to see all these future MVP candidates kind of line themselves up for us.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good problem, right? How all that depth, I think that's always a good thing. You never have you never have too much depth. That's what I always say, Janice.
Absolutely.
How do you think the White Sox measure up against the entire AL Central? I think, look, Minnesota, I mean, they think they just hit another home run last night because they're still doing their thing. Cleveland's been up and down. They're kind of like, with the Cubs, sort of, this is kind of like the last dance for them. Do you think that the White Sox can kind of sneak into the playoffs, especially with the playoff setup and such, or can they at least get into like the second place or maybe even first?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I believe that 92% probability of making the playoffs is a really good number. I believe it will probably happen. But I still believe that Minnesota is probably going to be a thorn in our sides for at least the time, or at least for the near future. Cleveland also has a really, really fantastic pitching staff, just incredibly solid, like from 1 to 5. All of their starters are very, very good. Minnesota, yeah, I'm always hearing about Nelson Cruz like every other day, which I wish that was not the case. And I also believe that Jose Barrios seems to have found his stuff again, which is unfortunate for us. But other than that, I believe that now that this team is getting so hot again, they will definitely be a force to be reckoned with. So yeah, I believe that a playoff push is definitely going to happen, and we should have a really fun postseason if it does happen.
Couple more minutes for Janice Scurio, part of the Sports Illustrated Now crew of the SouthSide Hitpen. She covers the White Sox here on Second City Sports Zoom style. Janice, obviously before we get your prediction for this weekend series, I'll follow you on Instagram as well, and you're there at the park every day. Describe to us what's the protocol for the White Sox. How many times do you get tested? What's the daily process of covering the baseball team that we don't have, now since we don't have any fans, at least for this season? I'm
sorry, you kind of broke up there for a little bit. What was it?
Okay. I'll follow you on Instagram, and you cover the team. How many times do you get tested? What's the daily protocol? What is your daily routine in covering the team, especially with this year being without any fans in the stands?
Yeah, so it's definitely been a very well-oiled machine. So how it works is that we arrive to the ballpark. There's a special parking lot for media. So we're all instructed to park at least a space away from one another. So even our cars are socially distanced. So that's always interesting. There are signs everywhere that saying that a mask is required for entry. I get my temperature checked every time I walk into the park, and it's done with an iPad-like device that I just kind of put my face over, and I guess it detects the heat from my forehead or whatever. I'm not sure what the exact science is there. And then I go through security. I pick up my credential. My bag is sprayed with a disinfectant, or at least I think it's a disinfectant. I would hope it is. I don't know much about it other than that it smells nice. Social distancing is very strictly enforced. Once you get into the park, only 2 people are, Oh, there you go. I'm back.
There you go.
Only 2 people are allowed to ride in the elevator at a time. The seating is very spaced out as well. There are only up to 2 people allowed per section, while in the days of yore, the days before the pandemic, people were allowed to sit next to each other. People were allowed to hug each other, give each other high fives. We do not see that now in the press box. We're all very nicely spaced out. We're allowed, we are not allowed to take off our masks unless we're eating or drinking. We're not required to get tested though, but that's probably something I feel as if I should probably do sometime soon, just mainly because going to the ballpark is probably the most I've been out in public and in a long time, which is a privilege in itself. But otherwise, the White Sox very strictly enforce rules. Credentials are scanned at multiple checkpoints. I have felt safe the entire time. I believe it's handled very well.
Now, any like sort of like what about like after the game? Do you guys have to like deal with like, do you do it Zoom style like we're doing it? Do you guys actually go to the press rooms? How does that work?
Yeah, so we are not allowed to go into the clubhouse or even be on the 100 level. I believe only photographers are allowed on the 100 level now. Everything is done via Zoom. The White Sox have been very accommodating when it comes to arranging Zoom interview requests, so that's been pretty helpful and really easy too. Typically right after the game ends, a Zoom link goes out and all of the beat writers will log in and interview Ricky or whomever was integral in the game's results. And that lasts for about like 15-20 minutes or so, and then we're allowed to stick around after that. So if we need to like finish up our work or finish up writing, but the park closes about an hour after that ends. So kind of like in the old days where the park would open or the park would close right after post-game interviews were finished.
All right, and what's your prediction for this weekend series at the Friendly Confines? Do the White Sox sweep, take 2 out of 3, or do they have a setback? What's your prediction?
Oh man, from just looking at some of the pitching matchups for this weekend, I have a feeling that they're probably going to win today. I just feel as if the way Keuchel has been on and the fact that the White Sox should do very well against John Lester, I think that should be okay. As for the other matchups, the only game that I am having a little bit of reservations about is maybe Sunday, just mainly because the White Sox haven't announced their starter yet. I have a feeling it's probably going to be Ronaldo Lopez, and we haven't seen him throw since he was injured. I can't remember the exact date though. So I'm a little concerned as to what he looks like and his current condition. So my prediction is at least 2 out of 3.
Okay.
All right, that sounds great.
That, yeah.
Before we let you go, Janice, how did you become a White Sox fan? I know you're born and raised here in Chicago. How did you become a White Sox fan? And now, outside the 2005 World Series, what was your favorite moments as a White Sox fan?
Oh man, so I became a White Sox fan hereditarily. So my dad was a White Sox fan. My mom also became a White Sox fan via my dad as well. So it just kind of stuck after that. I do admit there were some years that my affections for the team kind of waned, but that's okay though. That's okay. I haven't been a diehard fan all of my life, which is also okay too. I probably got more into analyzing and looking at the team more deeply just within the past 2 years. That's okay though. There are many different levels of fan. So when it comes to 2005, my favorite memory from that, I was in college at the time. So I was living at home with my parents, and just as soon as Game 4 ended, we all just kind of ran out of the house with pots and pans and just tried to make as much noise as we could. And so I'm from the South Side, of course. So there were a lot of us out there, a lot of us with pots and pans, just making a whole bunch of noise. Like you could definitely hear the car horns honking from the highway. It was just a really, really wild time. And yeah, maybe one day we'll see that again.
Let's hope
Let's
so.
hope so, yeah.
All right, there was Janice Scurio of SouthSide Hitpen. She's the White Sox beat reporter there, part of the Sports Illustrated Now crew. Janice, I'm ready to go. I'm showing my bias here for the White Sox Crosstown rivalry weekend. As Isaac again was saying, where the hell is Wrigley at? Let's take 2 out of 3. Let's go for the sweep first of all. But I'm speaking as a fan, but let's give it to those Northsiders and let's bring you back again soon, and hopefully the good times can continue on the South Side. Where can people catch you once again on social media?
You can follow me on Twitter at Scuriosa, Scuriosa. My Instagram is, oh wait, did I spell that right? I did. My Instagram is Scuriosa as well, but with one less I. So Scuriosa. Yep.
Cool.
All right, Janice, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today. Let's see if the White Sox can do well against the Cubs in Wrigley Field this weekend. You keep up the great work. Let's bring you back down the road. Hopefully, we'll talk about a playoff team this year on the South Side for the first time since 2008.
I'm looking forward to it, Sydney, and thank you, Lakeena.
Thanks, Janice.
All right, Janice, take care.
All right, you too, guys. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
You too. Stay safe.
All right.
You too.
All right.
And there was Janice Scurio once again of Southside Hitpen, part of the Sports Illustrated Now crew here on Second City Sports. Lakeena, I'll ask you for your prediction for this weekend series on the North Side. I'm looking at the pitching matchups. I feel real good as a Sox fan. They can do no worse on paper. At least take 2 out of 3 since they've been on a hot streak here for these last 5 games, winning the last 5 in a row.
Yeah, it'll be interesting though. Like I said, I mean, Lester's getting up there at A, so, and like Janice said, the White Sox actually have done well against him in particular, so that'll probably be a tough matchup for the Cubs. I mean, Sunday's like she said, Sunday is probably like the one matchup that I probably give the edge to the Cubs with, because I just think that Lopez has sort of been up and down, so we'll see. Oh gosh, I'll say White Sox 2 out of 3. I think.
As a fan, I want to sweep, as you well know, but realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the White Sox will take at least 2 out of 3. They've been on the tear lately. The Cubs, fatigue, I'm sure, has to set in because they played five games in 3 days with the St. Louis Cardinals, making up all those games that St. Louis missed against the Cubs a couple of weeks ago because of the Cardinals' troubles with COVID-19. So the Cubs have to be fatigued a little bit. Yes, they still in their own home ballpark, but I think the White Sox they're ready to go. It's a perfect time to catch the Cubs napping, as they say. So I'm feeling pretty good about this weekend series. The only thing about it is that we won't have any fans in the stands this year. This is the first time in years that both teams are above 500 and they're both competitive at the same time. When's the last time you could say that they're heading to a Cubs Sox series where both teams are well above 500 and both teams coming into the season well above the expectations?
Yeah, Baseball City, USA. We're being called here. And it looks like it's gonna be Gio. Yeah. It's gonna be Gio Gonzalez, I think, for the Sox. Darvish and Gonzalez for that Sunday matchup. He must just been announced already earlier. So yeah. So like I said, it should be interesting. Like I said, I mean, you're not seeing like the pushback and the trash talking between both Cubs and Sox fans. Maybe that's a good thing, but I'm sure they'll be doing it online and stuff on Facebook and Twitter. So I'm sure. Look, there won't be any like face-to-face sort of trash talk, but I think the trash talk will be there through social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, social media will be blowing up this weekend. So you're correct on that.
Yeah. Real quick. Fernando Tatis Jr. I know that's a sore spot for you, Sid, but he's leading the league in RBIs and home runs, and actually the Padres actually just hit another grand slam. They say Hosmer. I think they're like the first team to have a grand slam in 4 straight games. So slam Diego, as their TV guy called them. Do you think Tatis has a chance to win MVP? And if so, should there be an asterisk there? Because there are going to be folks that are going to be saying that.
As I said on our last podcast, Tatis and Mookie Betts should be number 1 and number 2 for NL MVP. I don't see, but maybe Charlie Blackmon of Colorado, and maybe Nolan Arenado, his teammates there as well, as your top core candidates for NL MVP. If San Diego can somehow sneak into the playoffs, I think Tatis' chances of winning MVP will increase tremendously. I know Mookie Betts is considered by many to be the best overall player in baseball next to Mike Trout, so it's going to be a battle. So Tatis should be up there for NL MVP. If San Diego can sneak it into the playoffs, his chances will increase. Will he get it over Mookie Betts? I'm not sure. We'll see how both their statistic lines end up at the end of the year, but Fernando Tatis' name should be in the conversation for MVP for sure.
Absolutely. And he had nothing to apologize for. I mean, you're up 3-0 and the bases are loaded. And look, you blame the Rangers relief pitcher for pitching that ball. Don't blame him. And I hated that. and I think that his manager basically threw him under the bus. I did not like that. And I mean, you're gonna look. Baseball ratings are up. You're gonna need people like Tatis to make sure they tune in. So, look at this. We have Rachel. Rachel's already on online already.
Wow, she came in early.
Yeah, she's an early bird here. But yeah, what do you think about that whole thing that started happening?
Hi guys, give me 1 second.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead and set up, Rach. Go ahead, Sid.
I just want to say about that 3-0 pitch incident. Yeah, you Fernando Tatis, you shouldn't have to apologize for anything. And if the pitcher threw it down the middle, you should hit it. He's one of the best hitters in baseball. And the thing that annoys me is that this old school rule about, players should follow this, players should follow that. You should never bunt for a base hit if your team is being no-hit. Forget all these old school baseball rules. It's a new day. As Ken Griffey Jr., Hall of Fame, said a couple years ago on that promo ad, let the kids play.
Yeah, let the kids play.
Let
exactly.
the kids play.
Let the kids play. Exactly. All right. So while Rachel, okay. So what I say? While Rachel sets up, you want to kind of like take a little break, Sid.
Yeah, let's take a quick timeout, and when we come back for our second segment, Miss Rachel Kopczyk, Chicago's very own host of the House of Hockey podcast, will join us here on Second City Sports to break down the all-season plans for the Chicago Blackhawks, and we'll get her thoughts about her career and the rest of the field for the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs 2020. You're listening and watching Second City Sports Zoom style.
Zoom style, and we'll be right back. We'll reconvene in a few minutes. Stay right there, folks.
Rolling?
Now I am.
Okay, let's make sure, right? I mean, I always have to ask myself that.
We're good. All right, so let's kick it.
All right. Welcome back to our second segment of Second City Sports Zoom style.
Zoom style.
Along with co-host, creator, and other things for Second City Sports Radio program and podcast, Miss Lakeena McGee. I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on Twitter and Instagram at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keena McGee on Twitter, at Keena_McGee on the Instagram.
And join us for our second segment to discuss Chicago Blackhawks hockey and everything else in between regarding the game of hockey in her career is Chicago's very own Miss Rachel Kopczyk. You can find her on the House of Hockey podcast, and she has not 1 but 2 Instagram accounts. Rachel, welcome to the program. Tell us how can people follow you on the Insta.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. Well, for all things hockey, you can follow me at The Hockey Lady. That's everything hockey there. I had to create 2 accounts, not because I think I'm special, but to separate everything, because some people were like, what is all this hockey stuff? She's just yelling about the Blackhawks all the time. And so I had to make a separate account. And then my work professional hosting, reporting, video production account is Lady on TV, because I'm a lady on TV. So those are the accounts. Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. Let's get started. Of course, the Chicago Blackhawks earlier this week dropped by the Las Vegas Golden Knights in 5 games. But before then, the Edmonton Oilers in that qualifying round, the Blackhawks took care of business. They're winning 3 games to 1. Rachel, of course, since you're here, I'll ask you, was this playoff run anything unlike any other in terms of being a Hawks fan? Because even though as an expert, I did pick the Hawks to win against Edmonton, but I said to myself, everything after that was a bonus. But just looking deeper into that series against Vegas, except for game 1, all those other games, including the last one, were winnable. What is your take on the series against the Golden Knights?
Oh my gosh. I have to second what you were saying. I thought the Blackhawks could beat Edmonton, and we did. And I loved the way we rallied and played and adjusted the game against their offensive attack. And we really pulled it together. Vegas, I was so worried about, and I had to pick the Hawks to win it because I have to support the boys and my team, but like deep down, I knew it was going to be a real challenge. And I was really disappointed in game 1, and then really depressed game 2. And it was really hard to watch the boys play the rest of those games. But I do agree the other games were winnable. We really did not have the luck of the puck on our side. Like, how many times did that puck hit the post, and it was just like heartbreaking. And I'm really glad that we won at least one game against Vegas. I was starting to get like post-traumatic stress from the 2016 season. Wasn't it 2016 when we went to the first round and we got swept? And I was like 17. I was starting to like really go back to that really dark, depressed place where I was at the bar in Los Angeles by myself, watching them lose and like drink my sorrows away. And I really did not want to have that happen again. And so when they won at least the one game, I was like, okay, this is giving me more renewed faith in the boys. And I was really, really upset about the loss. But everybody on social media was reminding me that like, we really gave Vegas a tough time. We were not easy against them, and that's something to be proud of. This is also, we're the youngest team of like average age of the teams in the current playoffs. So that speaks volumes that we did as well as we did with such young and players who've never been in this kind of playoff situation, like Kubalik and Doc and, all of that. And I think there's a lot of potential in the future. I think part of the issue is coaching and not really knowing how to handle these veteran guys with these new guys. And then also, I just don't think they adjusted very well to the type of play for Vegas. And we also have no defense. And Crawford can't just get the 3 stars of the game every game. That doesn't win you a Stanley Cup, even though people are like, goalies win you Stanley Cups. Yeah, that's a big part of it. I disagree with that statement, though. You still have to have defense and you still have to have offense. I can't hear you.
Oh, there we go. If I have to hear, sorry, I don't know, I'm muting myself. If I hear that puck hit that post one more time, I mean, they had to have hit like 16 or 17 times. It was just like, oh no, like what, why? But look, Vegas is just so good, guys, and that was going to be very hard. And look, we had Pat Boyle on last week, said that it was going to be a very tough out for that Vegas team. Yeah. But as far as the coaching goes, Rachel, you just said it. Do you think that Jeremy Colleton is sort of the answer long term?
No way.
Look,
no way. I mean, come on. Listen, I have to say this. I love the Blackhawks. I love the boys. I love hockey. I say this from a place of honesty, not a place of bashing the team, because the love is so strong. So don't get it twisted. But I think that he's just too young, and I don't think Colleton knows what to do with the boys. With you, when you have a Kane and a Taze and a Keith, and then you have these young guys that are just as talented, but you need to be able to bring them together and know how to work with them. And Coach Q is the guy to know how to do that, because he did that when Kane and Taze were really young when he first brought them up. And I thought Q did a much better job at adjusting the lines on the fly, even in the middle of the games, and making changes day of like who's on what line based on who's playing together. And I don't know if Colleton is allowed to do that. I mean, look, we don't know a whole lot of what's going on. What's Bowman telling him? I think if it's not really Colleton's fault. I think if you go one step higher, I think Bowman is dictating a lot of what's happening, and I don't know that we can blame Colleton for everything. I don't think he's the future of the team, but we'll see what happens. I mean, as of today, we haven't heard any news about coaching changes or any of that. So we'll see what happens, in the next few weeks.
If it's up to you, Rachel, if you were running the team right now, Colleton is giving the boot, as you say he should get if you were running the team. Which head coach would you get? Would you get Mark Crawford, who's his right-hand man, or would you get somebody else like a Pierre Laviolette or somebody else with head coaching experience?
Why can't I take the job?
I'm kidding. Sure, why not? Why not?
I mean, I'm kidding. No, I would not want that job, but I'm not qualified at all. However, I think Laviolette would be a good person to have. His second guy, the assistant, gosh, I just don't know. I think it needs to be a big shakeup. I think it needs to be somebody who can come in that's not been stuck under this system and stuck under this type of play, who's not afraid to stand up to Bowman, and who's going to just say, like, this is my team, this is the way we're going to play. How Barry Trotz operates, like Barry Trotz of the Islanders, like, and previously the Capitals, like, he has a system, he has a type of play, it's proven, it works, he has a cup, like, he knows what he's doing. I'm not saying we need the Barry Trotz style of coaching and hockey play at the Blackhawks, but I think they need somebody who's got enough confidence to come in and say, this is what we do with the boys. This is how we operate. This is what's in front of us, and this is how we play to win. Because we've still got a few good years left with Kane and Taze, and these young boys are really giving me a lot of hope. I mean, DeBrincat definitely is playing better. Yeah. I still don't think he's where he should be. I think he relies a lot on Kane, and they do work well together, but I don't know if DeBrincat has the confidence yet. I love Kirby Dach's confidence and his like no fear attitude when he gets on the ice, and he just does it. He's making plays. He's where he's supposed to be. Like, I mean, I love that fresh set of energy, and I think it's really good for the team. I just think some of the coaching needs to be adjusted. Who that person is, I don't know, but I think somebody else has to really come in, because I just don't think it's working right now.
I wanted to piggyback off your point, Rachel, about Kirby Dach. As Lakeena mentioned a moment ago, we had Pat Boyle, Hawks pre- and post-game host for NBC Sports Chicago on last week, and he said that if you watch Kirby Dach closely, you can tell the difference between in March when play stopped in the playoffs, because he worked with Patrick Kane's trainer. You can tell that the speed on the ice, especially playing with Kane a few times toward the end of that Vegas series, you could really see the difference between night and day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Dach is fire. I mean, he is just, he wants it. He wants to learn. You can see that he's open to learning. He's not afraid to make a mistake. And I think DeBrincat plays with a little bit of hesitation sometimes. And, he's still, I mean, he's an NHLer. So, like, you can't, he's really good. And we're, like, nitpicking here. But Dach is really exciting. And I think Kubalik is really great. I don't love all the penalties he took, I think he still plays a little, because where did he play before overseas? So I think he's got to adjust his style of play a little bit more to match the NHL and not get those, bad slashing penalties that we don't need to take, especially in a playoff situation. But I do think he's got a bright future.
How about Malcolm Subban? Do you think he could be a good backup to Crawford? Do you think that, or is he kind of more like the less athletic or version of in the Subban family?
I think he's the less athletic version of the Subban brothers. I disagree 5,000,000% about letting go of Robin Lehner to Vegas. I think we should have gotten rid of Crawford. I think Lehner should have stayed. I think Lehner could have signed a nice 2-3-year contract with the Blackhawks, stuck it out with this Kane and Taves and really, done something good for the team. I think Crawford, while he played phenomenal one game, but he also played like complete garbage on game 1 and 2 and he doesn't have the defense except when Keith is on the ice, but that's not, I just was really frustrated at that decision. And then letting Lehner go for Subban, that is not an even match at all. Lehner is a starting goalie. That's that 2-goalie system. Subban is not a 2-goalie system. Obviously, he didn't play a single game in the playoffs. Crawford played all the games. He's the backup. So if that's the case, fine, he can be the backup, but that's not what we need right now because Crawford's contract is up.
Right. Exactly.
What are you doing? What are we going to do? You're telling me Subban is going to be the starting goalie for the Blackhawks? I don't think so. I would not be surprised if they sign Crawford to another 2-year contract because they're Crawford is our boy, Crawford is the guy for us, and they've backed him, and I'm glad they did, right? And I'm grateful for everything Crawford has done for the Blackhawks. Don't misunderstand that. I think he really was phenomenal. I'm grateful for having him. I'm glad he was our goalie when we won the cups. I'm very happy about that. But that was then and this is now. And he should retire as a Blackhawk for sure. But they do that magic thing where you sign a contract for one effing day and you can retire as a Blackhawk. So why we have to go through all this rigmarole and keep him around, I don't really understand. And if their goal, as Bowman has said, was to try to win and get another Stanley Cup, well, that does not reflect the choices that you made by letting Lehner go. Unless they're going to have some magical off-season trade plan that we don't know about, because that's obviously something that could happen. I'll believe it when I see it.
Outspoken Chicago sportsman Rachel Kopczyk, host of the House of Hockey podcast, joined us here on Second City Sports Zoom style, along with Lakeena McGee. I'm Sydney Brown. Let's focus in on another free agent, Rachel, and that's Dylan Strome. He's a restricted free agent. Do you think the Hawks will have enough money, assuming that the cap will probably be flat because of the pandemic situation we're in right now? Dylan Strome was kind of hit and miss in his first playoff appearance. As you mentioned about the post chances in the Vegas series, he could have ended it in game 2, and he missed it. So Dylan Strome has been, in the beginning, he's been a nice addition to this team, but I don't know if I'm going to, quote unquote, break the bank for him. That's just me. But what is your outlook on Dylan Strome? Do you think he's back with the Blackhawks next year?
I would like to see him back. I think depending on what he does off season to really work on his game a little bit more, I think he does have the potential. I don't think it's worth offering him a lot more money to stay. I think a fair contract would be fine. I don't think that he's the future. I would rather see more money go to Kubalik. And what is Saad doing? What is that? What did Saad do in the playoffs? I mean, that's, it's hard to watch a lot of the situations we're locked in with the money and, Seabrook, and is Seabrook really going to return with all of his surgeries that he's had? And I'm really glad he's healthy, but that's a lot of money that's locked up in his contract as well. Strome, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be sad to see him go. I wouldn't be super mad, but I would like to see him stay. I don't know how much he's worth, though. We need a goalie. We need defenders. Like, you know, like, let's work on that. Let's work on getting Keith some help and getting somebody that Keith can train and teach and show the game, and get some defenders in there to help with whoever ends up being in goal this coming season.
Do you think that having this nice little mix of, you got the veteran players, of course, like Kaner and Taines, and then you got guys like DeBrincat, you know, do you really, I think you said it earlier, Rachel, that do you think that maybe we can try to get a couple of more years out of Kane and Taines to try to maybe advance to another Stanley Cup final?
I mean, I think we can. I think the proof is in the playoffs with what we did against Edmonton and even the challenges we gave to Vegas. Like, Vegas is the number 1 team in the division, so the conference. So, I mean, we gave them a real run for their money, and we could have won that series if the puck had not, you know, made that ding sound so much. And I don't think you can, back to what you were saying about Strome missing that goal, you know, I mean, Kane missed a wide open shot too that hit the post. So, I mean, sometimes that happens, but I don't think you can blame any of them for that. And so I think there is a potential to be there. And that's what I was saying all season long, was that it was so frustrating to watch because they have the talent and you get those glimpses of their magic together when they're all on the same page and you can see what they can really do. And I think they were really close. I think all of that, though, will change depending on the off-season moves that they make.
Rachel Kopczyk of the House of Hockey podcast is with us here on Second City Sports. Rachel, we'll try to calm you down a little bit about the Blackhawks, and let's get into the other teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Of course, as of this recording, Vancouver's up 3-2 over the defending Stanley Cup champion, St. Louis Blues. Of course, Dallas dismisses Calgary. Of course, my shocker is the Washington Capitals, or the Capitals. So now they're ousted in 5 games by the Islanders. What other series have impressed you so far?
I was talking about the Islanders before we started, and with Lakeena, and I love the Islanders. They have a little special place in my heart. I spent some time on Long Island, and I went to interview the fans there, and they just welcomed me with such open arms. And I really love that sort of underdog kind of mentality and the underdog kind of team. And man, they look just so amazing. And also, I have a crush on Barzal. So like, he's my, like,
I don't blame you. I don't blame you though. I don't blame you.
Right? Like, he's my younger version of Patrick Sharp. So like Patrick Sharp and Matt Barzal, like those are my, like, you know, if I had a hockey crush, but I digress. So I really like, and I really do like Barry Trotz, and I like his style of play, and I like his calm demeanor and what he can do with the team. I think it's really impressive. I was not at all surprised that the Islanders played as well as they did, but I did not expect the series to go this way. And I think Ovi really jinxed them by shaving his beard into that weird goatee.
Well, incidentally, him and Barry Trotz actually shared a really nice moment after that game, so that was really nice to see. But go ahead, Rachel. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I love that. I love that series, and every Penguins fan is like, "Yeah, go Islanders! We took out the Capitals," you know. Yeah. Let's see. I was a little surprised that Boston was able to pull their stuff together and take on the Canes the way they did. Because of the way they were playing in the round robin, I was a little concerned about Boston. Plus, with Tuukka leaving, and then with Pasta being in and out, it was like, oh my God, you know, can they do this? So that I was actually really surprised to see Boston pull it together and get through that series. The Avalanche, holy smokes, did they smoke the Yotes? I mean, that was just like beating a dead horse. I mean, that was really painful to watch.
Oh yeah.
And I really thought the Yotes had it in them to do really well. And I just think that the Avs finally got their stuff together and were able to figure out how to actually play well, because if you look at their regular season play, and I've watched quite a few Avalanche games during the regular season, it was really hard to watch. They did not look like a Stanley Cup playoff team. And I was like, there's no way they're going to make it. And I can't believe the way they played. So those are some of the series that have surprised me. I mean, the Canucks Blues series is also really interesting. And I was really torn on who to pick in that series, like to take the win. And at first I said the Canucks, and then I was like, ugh, I gotta go with the Blues because they won and they've still got like most of their core team from last year. But now, I mean, I don't know. It's anybody's game to lose.
I've been looking forward to that Philly Canadian series, Flyers Canadians. I mean, Philly,
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, Philly can win it tonight. Just like it's sort of like a tale of two different like games or different games, because I think the Canadians beat the Flyers at like 7 or 5-0 or something, and then like it's been really, not really all Flyers, but they've been playing well. I think like they lost to the Canadians, I think like 5-3 their last game. So do you think I told Sid that could go 7? Do you think that one could go 7?
It could. Again, this goes to the whole goalies, or is a goalie going to bring you a Stanley Cup, right? Like you've got Price in goal for the Canadians and Katahat, right, in Philly. And but the Canadians, like overall, I don't know. They could beat the Flyers and move on to the next round. But beyond that, I don't think the Canadians would go any further. I mean, it's really just I can't make any solid like predictions on what I think is going to happen. It's a pretty well matched sort of series, just like the Blues and Canucks one, where like it can really go either way. I don't think.
Right.
I don't really think it's any solid decision or prediction I can make.
I'm going to break protocol here a little bit, Rachel, and I'll ask you, going back to the Western Conference, of course, many people have said, even before the shutdown, that the Vegas Golden Knights were the team to beat even in this open Western Conference. Do you see a team like Colorado or even Dallas challenging Vegas to represent the Western Conference in this year's Stanley Cup final?
Dallas, no. Maybe the Avs. The Avs have a lot of young legs. They could definitely put Vegas in a position where they were going to have to work hard. And I would like to see that. We don't want to see a blowout in the playoffs. Like we want to see this. I want to see these like 3-2 series, and like tied series and up just one game off. Like those are so much more exciting to watch, and also way less stressful to watch than like the Blackhawks night series, where you're just like, I'm just gonna have to eat all the ice cream and donuts and drown my sorrows away at how hard this is to watch. But I don't know. I don't think. Let's say the Canucks take the series. I don't think they can take Vegas.
How about the East? Do you think the East is a little more wide open, you think? Especially now that the Capitals have been eliminated?
Yeah. I think that's going to be more unpredictable than the West.
Yeah.
Because all of those teams are so unpredictable, except for the Islanders. I think the Islanders have been the most consistent as far as like style of play goes. But I think everyone else, it's kind of it's going to be a wild card. And I just don't think Tampa's got it in them. I don't know. Everyone's like, Tampa's the best. They're predicted to win. I don't believe it. I'll believe that one when I see it as well.
Of course, Rachel, I follow you on Instagram. Of course, before the shutdown, as you mentioned earlier in this interview, you traveled to many hockey cities, including here in Chicago. Of course, I'm biased. Of course, we as Blackhawks fans are the best in the NHL, but excluding Chicago for a moment, putting your journalistic hat on from the cities that you traveled to early in the season, which fan base in your opinion, had the best representation of the best fans in the league?
I really was surprised by the Islanders. I really was. I think they have a really unique fan base. First of all, they get to tailgate out at Nassau Coliseum. I mean, obviously that's going to change when they get to Belmont and, their current situation with the arenas. Right. But when they restored Nassau Coliseum, that's where I did my interviews, was out at a tailgate in the middle of the winter. And they were so welcoming. Everybody was just like, what do you need? Do you need food? Are you hungry? Eat something. Who do you want to talk to? Like, who do you want to interview? Like, I mean, it was just incredible. And I really enjoyed that experience as far as like the fan base goes. And they're a very uniquely devoted fan base. They've got a unique team history with the arenas and that sort of community that lives in that area around Nassau Coliseum. They really didn't want the arena to be moved to Brooklyn and all of that, because their whole sort of thing is like, they want to be able to just get to the game like how it is in Chicago, right? Where you can just take a bus, you could hop on the L, you get a cab, whatever, easy access, easier accessibility to get to the arena. That one was really fun. Vegas fans really blew me away. I thought they were just going to be all show and not really know anything about hockey. They are some of
kind of like Los Angeles.
Yeah, like Los Angeles fans, except for the ones that except for the Kings fans. I have learned that there is a group of Kings fans that do know their stuff and they know it. And they're very serious, but they're not as public as the ones in LA who are just like, the Kings are the best. Like the true Kings fans don't spout out like that. Those are the like non-fans who are like, we're the best. And they don't know they can't tell me one name of the player on their team. So that's the Kings fans. But the Knights in Vegas, trust me, I've gotten into like verbal altercations on the street with people who were like, oh, you're a Blackhawks fan? Kings are the best. And I'm like, name me one player on your team. I go, exactly. Shut up. This conversation is over. I'm not even going to engage with you because
oh, wow.
I could name your top line and you can't even tell me one name of a player on your team. So why don't you just go away? But Vegas, the fans there really embrace that team. And I love seeing that. And I loved they do everything Vegas style. Like, the costumes, there's a Wolverine guy, there's a dog that's like, I mean, like every single Knights fan who went into that arena was wearing flashy gold sparkles, or like they're all in jerseys. And I went to a game in their inaugural season. Everybody is wearing a jersey and they like don't even know who these players are yet, you're thinking, but they know. And they were like invested in it. So that was fun.
Oh, look, it's Vegas. I mean, of course, they're going to do it Vegas style. Come on now. I've looked through your Instagram, Rachel, you're more professional at the Hockey Lady. This is really cool, sort of like Real Housewives style video that you did a couple of months back. I mean, that for some other fellow fans that you do the hockey podcasts with. How much fun do you guys have doing these podcasts? I mean, showing your personality, it's also your hockey knowledge.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. Are you kidding? It's a joy. And it's a joy to be here with you guys just talking hockey. It lights me up and I get really passionate about it. And it's just so much fun for me to talk and learn and hear other people's perspectives on it. The Real Housewives thing. So I'm a I'm also a Real Housewives fan. Yes, I can love hockey and the Real Housewives. And a good friend of mine, Elena, she had posted some kind of TikTok video and was doing like a Nene Leakes from Real Housewives of Atlanta sort of thing, and like lip reading her talking. And I was like, oh, I have to put together like an opening sequence of if hockey fans were Real Housewives. And I got these girls to put it together. It was so much fun. That was just something fun I had to do for myself. And I'm glad you found it entertaining. But the podcast, House of Hockey podcast that I host was Breezy. We love it. And her and I both look forward to it every week because it's a hockey lifestyle podcast. So that means we talk to all the people that are involved in the sport of hockey. And our goal really is to just learn about hockey and this community and what makes hockey fans especially so unique. And I believe that to be true. There's something unique about the sport and the people who are drawn to it that's different than the other professional sports. And every person I've met online, viewing, etc., I consider them friends. And I think that's a really unique thing. And so on the podcast, Breezy and I try to interview unique people that are in the sport. Like we interviewed a girl who plays as professional as you can hockey in Scotland. And she's a female Scottish hockey player. I mean, what? You know, they barely even have hockey there. They have like 2 teams in Scotland that she can play against, you know, and it was really interesting to hear about that lifestyle. And everything else in between, emergency backup goalie in Nashville and hockey in the UK. We've talked to diehard fans. We've talked to people who have brands like Nomad Hockey and Pacific Rink, these hockey clothing brands that everybody loves to follow and to wear. And it's just really interesting because everyone has a story and it all comes back through just the connection of hockey. And we just love sharing those stories, and hockey is sort of the conduit.
Rachel Kopczyk, the host of the House of Hockey podcast, is joining us here on Second City Sports Zoom style. Before we move on, Rachel, if you guys ever decide to do a series on NHL Housewives, I told you on Instagram, I'll tell you here, I'm your BFF, there's no other choice.
I know. You are my BFF. When I get cast by Andy at Bravo, you're my BFF that we like do everything together with. We go have lunch and I gossip with you about all the girls and the team. That's what we'll do, okay?
Oh my goodness. Oh,
could you imagine that, Lakeena?
Oh my gosh. I can imagine that now. Like, all right, Mr. Cohen, if you're watching, I got a couple of friends here. Just
hey, I tagged him in all of those housewife posts and I didn't get anything back from him, but maybe in time he'll see it because I know he's a big blues fan. But anyway,
oh yeah,
that's okay. It wasn't about Andy.
Right.
Let's set up here. Let's have some fun with you, Rachel. We were talking a little bit before the show. So I finally got my connection together. Thank goodness. Of course, you're from Chicago. You have this outright outspoken personality, which we love here, by the way. Yeah. So, who's Rachel Kopczyk? Where are you from? What high school did you go to? Do you have any other sports allegiances to other teams in town? Who are you? Let's get going.
Yes. I'm Rachel Ray Kopczyk. I grew up in the city of Chicago, born and raised in the city. Lived in Lincoln Park, north side Wrigleyville-ish. Went to high school out in the burbs, which was weird as a city kid. All those suburban kids were like, you take the public bus?
Oh my gosh.
Your mom doesn't drive you to school? I'm like, are you nuts? An hour and a half traffic? My mom's not driving my butt to school. But it was great. And then I've lived all over since then, but all my sports allegiances are to Chicago teams forever and always. That will never change. So I actually growing up on the north side, a mile from Wrigley, I was actually a White Sox fan. That's my dad's team.
Yes, yes.
You just made his day, yeah.
Yes. And when you're, I was born into the White Sox family, and people don't understand the hardships that I had to deal with living a mile from Wrigley, and all those Cubs fans for all those years telling me, we're the best. This is our year. This is our year. And I was like, shut up. You guys suck. We won in 05. Nobody ever remembers. Even ESPN forgets that we won. And so it's okay. I'm happy to defend the White Sox till the death. We're playing really well anyway right now. I haven't been following as much as I want because everything is hockey right now, but I mean, I got my ESPN alerts on, and the White Sox are doing really well. I'm like, what is happening there? I better tune into this now that the Blackhawks are out. I can pay a little more attention. But Bears, of course, which is another hard, oh my God, it's so hard to watch the Bears. It's harder to watch the Bears than it is the Blackhawks. And I don't follow basketball. Obviously, when Jordan and growing up there, I did, and I saw him play, and I was lucky to see Jordan play and be a part of Chicago during that time. And, we're really spoiled. We're really blessed to be Chicago sports fans. There's just, there's so many great aspects of it, and there's something unique about the city of Chicago with the 2 baseball teams and the championships we have had across all the professional sports, and that it isn't a college town. And I think a lot of people who are from more of the college cities and smaller cities across the US, it's a different experience growing up in the pro sports world of a big city like Chicago, where sports there is a really big part of your life. And I love it. I was so lucky to be born when I was, because I got to go to Old Comiskey as a little kid. I don't remember it, but I can say that I went to Old Comiskey Park. And then I went to, my first Blackhawks game was at probably like 5 years old at the old Chicago Stadium before it became the United Center. So, I mean, and I do still have my first t-shirt from my first Blackhawks game, that game that I bought off a vendor on the side of the street for like, $5 after the game. I'm like, Dad, I want a Blackhawks shirt, and I still have it. I mean, I even had a starter jacket, pullover starter jacket with the front pouch with the Velcro, and it was Blackhawks. And I could just kill my family for not keeping that, because that would be just so cool. So I had to go out and buy a new one that was like sort of close to it. But yeah, I mean, that was my life there. And even though I live in Los Angeles, I will never be a Los Angeles team fan. Like, that will never happen. It's Chicago till the day I die.
Oh, that's what we love. That's what we
You
love.
ever get a chance to come back home?
I don't come back as often. Obviously, with the virus right now, that's not happening. But I try to get back around once a year, especially my work sometimes brings me there. So when I do, I catch up with my best girlfriends from home, and they still live there from high school, and from the girl I've known. Well, she just moved, but she used to still live there. But I've been friends with this girl since we were 2 years old. We were neighbors, and we're still friends today. So yeah, I mean, when I do, and I try to make sure it's around hockey season so I can get to a Blackhawks game, or if it's not, and if it's in the summer, I got to get to a White Sox game. Those are like my two requirements when I come back to Chicago are thin crust pizza and either a Blackhawks game or a White Sox game. That's it. Those are my requirements.
Nice. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, people forget that, a lot of us here in Chicago are not really thick crust people.
No.
And if you think about it, no, I think maybe like a third of the people who live here, or even, transplant like yourself, Rachel, we're not thin. We like thin crust. We're not thick crust, deep dish people. We're not.
No, the deep dish is like a special occasion. Like you get that as like a treat every once in a while.
Exactly.
Like when you're really in the mood for it. But people don't know how good thin crust Chicago pizza is with that cardboard cut into squares. Oh, the cheese, the sauce, like the true Italian style pizza. Oh my God, I want pizza now, guys. Thanks.
Well, it's almost lunchtime there, so yeah. Yeah, anything else? Sid?
What's your favorite pizza? Yeah, what's your favorite pizza, Rachel?
Well, I'll go anywhere for thin crust. It doesn't matter. It's got to be from a real Italian place, though. Not like, I never eat Pizza Hut or Domino's. People, that's not pizza. Oh my God, get out of here with that nonsense. And I like crumbled sausage and mushroom on my pizza. That's the way, that's all that matters. As long as there's crumbled sausage and mushroom, no pineapple. I can't. Pineapple does not belong on pizza.
Oh boy.
That is not, no, that's not called pizza. That's called something else. I don't know. I haven't invented the word for it yet, but that's not pizza.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Pineapple. Oh boy. We're gonna look, there's always like a big sort of like debate about on Twitter whether or not pineapple belongs on a pizza. So
it does not. I will stick to that to the death. Even my co-host Breezy on the House Hockey Podcast, she thinks it does. So we have agreed to disagree on that topic. So,
Sid?
Last moment or two with Rachel Kopczyk, the host of the House of Hockey Podcast right here on Second City Sports, along with Kim McGee and Sydney Brown. Rachel, outside of those Stanley Cups in the last decade, growing up going to Hawks games that you mentioned, besides getting your first T-shirt at your very first game, what was your favorite moment as a Hawks fan attending games, whether it was at the old Chicago Stadium or the United Center?
I think my favorite memory, of being a Blackhawks fan, that's so hard.
Yeah,
attending the games, I think would have to be probably when my dad bought season tickets again when Old Man Wirtz died, right before the Kane Tays and all of that. So whenever, I can't like pinpoint a date, but I would say the first game back, like as a grown adult, when I was in town visiting and I was like, Dad, I gotta go to a Hawks game with you. Like, I because growing up, we didn't go because of, my dad boycotted the team like most everybody else did because, Wirtz wouldn't be television home games and everybody in Chicago listening is like, yeah, shut up. I know the story. So I was excited to go and be an adult and really remember it, and like having them cheer over the anthem and then they're just like chanting Detroit sucks and we're not even playing Detroit, and these unique aspects of that team and the community. Everybody was wearing a jersey, everybody wears red, everybody's got the red jersey on, and like I was just so blown away. And I think whatever game that was really is the most memorable for me. The cups are incredible, obviously, but the moment where I fell in love with hockey would have to be my favorite.
Okay, before we let you go, I'll show you my quick personal story. My very first Blackhawks game, I was on a spring break in high school. This was back in 1999. I know I'm telling my age, even though I'm 29 for this broadcast. My first Blackhawks game was in April of 99. Wayne Gretzky was doing his final tour in the Rangers uniform before he retired. I went up to the ticket window. The guy ahead of me, which I could care less about. So I went to the ticket office. Actually, you had to drive down there back in the day.
Yep.
I was trying to get tickets because the Blackhawks were playing Detroit. I believe it was on that Sunday because Chris Chelios, who said in public he never wanted to play for Detroit, of course he lied and he played for the Red Wings. And so I wanted to get tickets so bad so I could boo the hell out of him. The guy in the ticket window said, the guy that was in front of you, we just gave him the last ticket to that game. So I was so mad. But I did ask him, did you have tickets left for that Rangers game? He said, yes, I scraped all my chore money. I had $40 to pay for it. In the middle of 300 level, I got the ticket. I got it. I enjoyed myself. JP Dumont scored a hat trick and the Blackhawks won. Of course, the game wasn't televised in Chicago, but besides that, that was my first Hawks game. So I know what you're talking about as far as the atmosphere for a hockey game.
Oh, yeah, that's something special. Did you throw your hat on the ice?
No.
Oh, you didn't? Oh.
No.
No. I don't wear a baseball hat to hockey games. Like I don't wear a baseball hat to hockey games. I wear my Hawks, like, whatever, baseball hat. I don't know what else to call it. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
But I wear my Hawks baseball hat like everywhere else, like to the beach, outside, like all the time. But to a game, I just rock my red Hawks jersey. Like, I don't know. I don't wear a hat. I have like a beanie, like a winter beanie, but I don't know. I don't wear a baseball hat. That's just my style.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll say I'm not really a big cap person either. I've never had the opportunity to go to a Hawks game. But no, I haven't. But I've watched a lot of Hawks games on TV. That's how I grew up being a fan, not just of the Hawks, but of hockey too. Those early '90s Blackhawks teams. I mean, like, those teams really broke my heart. That they should have won a cup. I mean, that team would have been captivating, especially with the Bulls being as good as they were around the same time. I love look Amante, Roenick, Belfour. I mean, oh my God! Like when they traded Roenick, I know that still breaks my heart to say that those teams should have won a cup. They were close though, but that Pittsburgh team with Yager and Lemieux, they were pretty much unbeatable.
Yeah.
That's sort of my Hawk story. Unfortunately, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
okay. We got to get your butt into the United Center ASAP.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Well, I've been to a Bulls game right before everything shut down. Oh, I know a Hawks. I know. I've been trying.
It is not the same. Just because it's the same building, it is not the same experience.
I know. I got you. But look. I watch every Hawks game. I've watched, for many years. Once they finally put the Hawks games on at home on those home games on television now. So I watch every game.
I'm not discounting your fan devotion. I'm just saying. We have to get you in the building because this is like your mind is gonna be blown.
Everybody, Sid tells me that all the time. We have other friends who have been to Hawks games. They say it all the time. It's like there's nothing like it.
No, and you have to sit up in the 300s because that's where the real fans are.
That's what Sid tells you.
Damn right.
Tells me. Yeah.
And it's a better view of the game anyway.
Yeah.
I don't like sitting against the glass. You can't see. You can only see what's happening right in front of you, and then you're watching the jumbotron, and it's too distracting, and I can't pay attention. I gotta be up in like 200 or 300s.
Plus, I'm afraid that glass might break, so that I'm a little kind of like a phobia for that. So I don't know if I want to be that close to the glass. I'm like, okay, people, make sure you have your helmets on. It's crazy.
All right, that was Rachel Kopczyk, host of the House of Hockey podcast. You can download that wherever you can get your podcast. And Rachel, before we let you go, where can people follow you on social media?
Just follow the Hockey Lady. That's the easiest way to find me. It's all day, every day hockey at the Hockey Lady.
Simple to the point.
All right, Rachel, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. Continue the great work, and I'll say publicly, I am your future ex-husband. It ain't nothing you can do about that. We love your energy. We love your passion for hockey, and in particular the Blackhawks. You represent Chicago very well. Continue the great work. We'll definitely have you back on again down the road. Please keep up the great work, and thank you once again for joining us. You have a great weekend.
Thank you both so much. This was so much fun. I love talking to Chicago hockey fans.
Hey, we love talking to you, Rachel. Thank you so much. You guys, you stay safe.
Yes.
You too.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
No problem.
So, anytime, let me know.
Rachel.
Bye.
When is it coming out?
All right.
When is this coming out?
Hopefully tomorrow.
Okay. Just tag me in all the things, and I'll share and post and tweet and all the things. Just tag me in all of the stuff
All right.
So
Will do.
I'll make sure to
All right,
promote
will
it,
do.
okay?
Will do. Thanks, Rachel.
All
Thank
right,
you
will
so
do.
much. Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right, bye, Rach.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Okay. Whew,
Yeah, that was Rachel Kopczyk once again on the House of Hockey podcast. Download that series wherever you get your podcast. And Lakeena, as Jay Hood of ESPN 1000 would say, we'll pull back the curtain a little bit. If you guys knew what went on behind the scenes, it'll drive you crazy. But, things happen. But we pulled it together.
Yep.
Rachel was great and patient with us. I'm glad we got this interview through. So, as we always say, Lakeena, as Chicagoans, as we say all the time, things will happen, but you got to get over and push right through, and we did that today.
Oh, listen, I'm just glad it all worked out with her and
Yes.
yeah, I'm just glad it all worked out with her and Janice. I mean, we had little issues,
Yeah.
but look, we got it through. They were both great, and especially
Mm-hmm.
Rachel. So we'll definitely be having both of them on down the line.
Yeah. Just like a model in life, you go through some things, and at the end of it, you come out strong, you stand tall.
Oh,
And
yeah.
damn it, we did it today.
There's a light. Listen, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. As long as there's light in the tunnel, you get to that light at that tunnel.
Yeah.
You're good. And like I said,
That's
it worked
right.
out. It worked out. So listen, I'm just glad it all worked out. Real quick before we go, Tom Brenneman, if you guys didn't know, has been suspended, and also he will not be part of the Big Fox NFL coverage, which I don't think neither one of us are surprised by, with what he said, with that derogatory remark. But I've heard people kind of not as a defender, but the cancel culture and this and that. Look, I mean, we've talked about this, Sid, when everything else started happening with the other people who said silly and stupid things, but you shouldn't be canceled, but at the same time, you got to face the consequences. And I've been a big fan of Brenneman, but if he loses his job, I would be surprised, because that's actually one of the consequences and the repercussions that you have his face.
I'm not saying that his career should end, but he deserves a second chance, but it'll probably be somewhere else. Now, with that being said, I am a big fan of his, like you just said, but when you do things like that, there is a consequence. And I know you went to broadcasting school just like I did, and they always remind us that whenever every mic is a hot mic, so be careful what you say. If you really want to say something important or something that doesn't pertain to the topic, just step away. You have to play it safe. You have to be smart, especially in the climate that we're living in right now. So that wasn't smart for what he did. Should he lose his career? No. Should he pay the consequences? He's doing that right now by losing the Reds gig and now with the NFL on Fox gig. So will he appear somewhere else? I'm sure he will if he shows great remorse and if he means it coming from his heart. But he's going to be away for a while. So you won't be hearing anything from him for a while. So he's going to rehabilitate himself. If he wants to do it again, if a local TV network or team or for national network like CBS, NBC, or I doubt it, ESPN, but so a national network wants to pick him up a year or two from now, like I said, if he's shown great remorse, he deserves another opportunity. But for a while, he's going to have to step away and reevaluate himself, and reevaluate his image.
Yeah. I mean, he seemed comfortable saying that word too. I mean, there's lots of words you could have used for what he said, not the word he actually used.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, yeah. And also that Hornets play-by-play guy who said the N-word and tweeted out, "You use that word regularly, dude?" I mean,
he should be fired immediately. There's no excuse for it.
Yeah, because those phone manufacturers, I don't care who it is, Apple, Samsung, LG, whoever else makes the phones, they make sure that they don't put those type of words in their kind of dictionary, if you will. So
exactly.
you use that word regularly, it sounds like. So I didn't mean to do. No. You can't play autocorrect. No, you can't do that.
Yeah, because there's certain words, especially for my phone, like you said, other phones too, where there's words they haven't typed in, whether it's your Twitter or your text messaging. They always say save it again. If you press yes, it saves the word right into your phone. So, like you said, yes, we all make mistakes when it comes to stuff like that. You really have to be careful.
Yeah, Absolutely. So that's your PSA for this week, kids. Make sure you be careful what you type on your phone and what you say on a hot mic, because they'll be the first to tell you that always assume that your mic is on, even if they don't like turn your mic off. Always make sure that it's on. All right. Anything else on your mind to say before we get out of here?
We'll get into this more next week when Jason joins us, but the NBA playoffs are on fire. Laker fans are panicking in the streets, but not after game 2 on Thursday night. We'll get more into that. It's another action-filled weekend of NBA playoff action along with the Stanley Cup. You know our Blackhawks are in it, but I'm really looking forward to this Cubs Sox Crosstown rivalry weekend. Even though we won't be any fans in the stands, these games should be fun and compelling because both teams are well over 500, and this is the first time in a long time that this series actually means something.
Yeah. Like I said, Baseball City, USA, I think both teams could very well make the playoffs. And I mean, the Cubs were off yesterday, so I think they were able to kind of rest up a little bit. So we'll see how they respond. I mean, this is like you said, we'll get into it more when we talk with Jason on Monday. But it's gonna be very interesting though to see do the Cubs. I don't think neither one of them sweep, but whoever the White Sox or the Cubs, they win the series. I don't think it's going to be a sweep though, because I think the pitching matches that they favor, they each have both teams in some form. So I don't think it's going to sweep, but I think for neither case, the White Sox probably needs a series more than the Cubs do. I think.
Yeah, especially if you're the White Sox, as we mentioned with our interview with Janice Scurio from SouthSide bullpen. The Sox are technically in third place in the AL Central. Minnesota's at the top of the division. Cleveland has gotten themselves together. So the Sox are getting to have back of Cleveland for that second place spot. So this is more important for the White Sox. The Cubs, even if they lose 2 out of 3 or get swept, they'll still be fine. They just got to fix their bullpen issues. But this series is more important to the Sox than the Cubs this weekend.
Should be a fun one. I'm also, like you said, I'm also looking forward to the NBA playoffs where everything will be once we convene on Monday. Looks like the Raptors are gonna pull away from the Nets. We'll see where the Nuggets Jazz series is. I'm kind of interested to see, especially both the LA teams, because they're split with their series with their respective opponents right now. It'll be interesting to see where they'll be. I mean, will it be like a 2-1, up, and will they take the control of the series? Especially with the Lakers, I'm a little concerned about Dame Lillard injuring his index finger and his shooting hand. That's gonna be a problem, and I think that might give, especially if Anthony Davis plays the way he's been playing. I think this could probably help the Lakers control the series. I think.
I couldn't agree with you more. And let's take a look at that Clippers-Mavericks series, too. The Mavericks steal game 1, and the Clippers come back and win game 2. If my memory serves correct, that series is 1-1. So, like I said, I had the Clippers in 6. So it'll be important to me the next 2 games, even though Dallas are technically the home team. Let's see if the Clippers can establish themselves and eliminate this young team quickly. Because if they don't, you get that young team and Luka Doncic's confidence, and then this series make those 7 games. If you're the Clippers, you do not want that, especially given the age of your team.
Right. And I think Kawhi wants to try to end this series quick. So I think Doc said it on a lot that, look, we gotta tame Luka and the rest of that group, and so we can take control of the series and end this series quick. So should be very interesting in the rest of the series. The Jazz and Nuggets, that'll be an interesting one. That's tied at 1, and I have that going 6 or 7. So we'll see who can take control of that series. Philly looks like, even though Boston's not gonna have Gordon Hayward, that's good. I think that'll be a problem with them down the line. Right now, I don't think they need it for the Sixers. I mean, I think the Sixers are just basically giving up. So I'm not worried about that right now. If you're a Celtics fan. I'm just saying. I mean, don't you agree? Don't you agree, though, Sid?
Yeah. Yeah, Sixers are done. Boston's a better team, so even outside of the injury to Gordon Hayward, Celtics should eliminate the Sixers quickly.
All right, Milwaukee and Orlando. I'm a little. Should Bucks fans be worried? I'm seeing some Bucks fans panicking here.
if this series goes beyond 5 games, you should be worried. But Giannis had a great game in Game 2 yesterday, 28 points, 20 rebounds. Milwaukee actually shot the ball well. Orlando didn't, especially from 3 in the first half. So if Milwaukee continues to use that game plan they did in Game 2, they should be fine. Like I said, I do not trust them down the road, but I do trust them to win this series. I did say Orlando wouldn't get a game, and they did. So
Right.
that was their hour of glory.
Yeah, that should. Yeah, I think the Bucks should be okay here. The Pacers and the Heat. What do you think about that, real quick?
Like I said, I had the Miami in 6. I don't think the Pacers are going away just yet. That's going to be an entertaining series. I do expect, hopefully, Victor Oladipo to give the Pacers a big lift. He hasn't done so in this series. On the other side of the Miami Heat, they are more a complete team. Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn, their supporting cast to help out Jimmy Butler. They're more of a complete team. So, like I said, I still expect Miami to come out on top in this series.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is going to go 6. I think. I don't think I'll rule the Pacers out just yet. I think you might be right about Houston and OKC. You said that Houston would sweep them, and I think that the way it looks like that's what's going to happen. I think Harden's on a mission, especially with Westbrook being out for this round. But I think the Rockets are realizing they kind of have that nice little balanced attack. I mean, they went on that 13-0 run to begin the fourth quarter to kind of pull away while Harden was on the bench. So they looked really good. I gotta say.
Yeah, many people would pick OKC for the upset, but I don't think they're done in this series as far as even though they're down 0-2. I think they'll win one of the next 2 games. But like you said, Lakeena, Houston look like a team on the mission right now. So we'll see what happens in these next couple of games over the weekend.
Okay, should be a lot of fun. Look, it should be a big sports weekend. I mean, I've seen people complain about, oh, it's too much sports, it's too much. Guys, this is what we've been waiting for all of these months. Look, if we have to keep turning it back and forth, we can. I mean, you got the Champions League final, you got PSG against Bayern Munich. That should be a fun one there for all you soccer fans. So I know I'm going to be watching that. That'll be on CBS Sports Network. Thank goodness, because you have to have had the app, and so that should be interesting there. The WNBA, I mean, the Sky's been doing pretty well in their bubble. So this weekend should be a fun one in sports, Sid.
Yeah, this is couch potato weekend once again because us as fans cannot attend these games, but it should be entertaining. So let's see what happens. Hopefully, some good competition.
And down to the wire, maybe some buzzer beaters too. That'd be nice. Also, the hockey.
Yeah.
Also, hockey. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see how all these first round playoffs finish, because you got a couple of good ones there. You got the Flyers and Canadiens tonight. Also, we'll see if the Canucks can finish up against the Blues. So yeah, that should be a fun one there. So I'm looking forward. Look, I still keep an eye on the playoffs. I mean, these are the kind of finishing up their respective first round series. So it should be fun, Sid.
Yeah, it will be fun.
All right, now on that note, we'll talk NFL and everything else. We'll talk that when we convene with Jason next week. But in the meantime, you can follow me at Keena McGee on Twitter, at Keena_McGee on the Instagram.
You can follow yours truly on Twitter and Instagram at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. You can read all of my articles at wearericoradio.com. That's WEAREGAL radio.com. And we are on iHeartRadio. Download the iHeartRadio app. Type in War on Anchor. That's WARR on Anchor. And you'll get all of our other programming as well as this program, Second City Sports. So we are on Anchor is available on all podcast platforms just in case you forget it. But download the iHeartRadio app. As I said once again, type in War on Anchor. You'll get all of our additional programming, including this program, on that platform.
And also we're on YouTube too, so you can see our lovely faces as well. So Make sure you guys subscribe. We also want to thank Rachel. How do you say her last name? I want to make sure I get her last name right.
Kopczyk.
Okay, I want to make sure. And also Janice Scurio. Is that? Yep. Well, perfect. I got her name right too.
Yes.
Yeah, you can check them out on their respective social media sites. Thank you. I've been practicing those names for the last 3 days. But yeah, we'll have this episode up hopefully tomorrow. and before all these games start. And we'll see you guys on Monday with Jason. So for Sid, I'm Lakeena. This has been Second State Sports Zoom style.
Zoom style. See you next time. Holla.
All right, wash your hands and keep your distance.